to another episode of Lift, Lighten, and Lead with Legacy Contracts. Whether this is your first time listening or you're returning for more, we're very glad you're here. This is a space for attorneys who want more than just efficiency. You want clarity, purpose, and lasting impact in the way that you practice law, serve your clients, and lead your firm. Our mission on this platform is simple: to lift the burden, lighten the load, and help you lead with clarity. Through practical insights, thoughtful guidance, and honest conversations, we explore what it truly takes to build not just a better firm, but a better way to work. If that's the kind of growth that you're after, you're in the right place. So today we're diving in our recent blog titled, When Growth Doesn't Feel Good, The Hidden Cost of Scaling a Small Firm. This topic is important because as we're coming to a close, we're in the final 2 months of 2025, many law firms are getting into the very, very busy seasons, trying to close out everything, complete all their filings, get all their paperwork into the courthouse, completing their trials, getting their cases resolved, and so on. So while documenting all of that and getting that all done in paper to, either report for your taxes or just, for your firm in general, and just being able to look at all your KPI reportings and just seeing, what you were able to do, what you're able to accomplish, your billable hours, and so forth, a lot of people tend to skip over the emotional and operational costs of constantly running your law firm and operating it with systems that either may be outdated or may need to also grow with your firm and how you're scaling it. So we are, diving into this topic with our blog and, with this podcast to really be able to get ahead of or pause, and be able to reassess and redefine what growth should look like and really be able to come off of that hamster wheel of just constantly chasing more cases and, getting more money in, which a lot of people should. But at the end of the year, a lot of people can tend to find that they've just been going in this, revolving door. And we want to be able to take that time to sit down and intentionally, talk about growth and, kind of see if it may or may not feel good with how you're assessing your firm. So the first point that we want to make of why growth doesn't always feel good is that sometimes growth can really feel like chaos. When you sit down and look at where you want to go, how you want to get there, expansion isn't always clean. Success can start to feel like survival. And sometimes when you redefine growth and when you look at how you want to grow and to the degree that you want to get there, it can also expose a lot of places where you may not be as strong in your law firm. Most people really just look at taking in as many cases as they possibly can. You want to get all of your billable hours. You want to really make sure that your clients have a good experience to get you more referrals or more Google reviews. But a lot of people and, attorneys in general can mistake capacity for availability. So just because you are available to take on more cases and you want to get more money in the door and you want to get those reviews, it doesn't always mean that you have the structures in place to support more cases within your law firm. So when you assess this area and you're looking at growing your law firm, this rapid growth that you're trying to get into the door can stress those areas where it just feels like you've been holding it together. So without these systems in place and without, the proper assessing and defining how you want to be able to build the foundation of your firm, each new client that you're bringing in the door or new case or, new obligations, or maybe even if you want to bring in co-counsel for certain things, it can really build on the existing pressure that you already have. It's already stressing the systems that may not be as strong as they need to be to do what you want to do. And I think a really good point to kind of assess whether or not growth would feel like chaos for you is to think, if you were to have 5 to 10 new clients that would come in the door right now, all of them said, hey, we want to work with you, we want to hire you as an attorney, we're willing to pay, we're ready to go, whatever else have you, would that growth be exciting, or would you have to scramble to make sure that you had the proper systems and support in place to be able to take on all those new clients? Would you essentially be ready for it, or would it feel like complete chaos? And the goal of this isn't to look at growing your workload. It's mainly just to focus on building your foundation so your workload doesn't feel like chaos and it doesn't essentially crush you, in the making. Expansion should honestly feel like you're evolving. It shouldn't feel like you're drowning. So the second point that we want to discuss of why growth may or may not feel good is that the emotional debt after rapid success could really, really take a toll, and does take a toll on a lot of people, not just, attorneys and law firms, but really just business in general. So a term that I've heard coined a lot is business fatigue. The emotional, mental, physical exhaustion from overwhelming and continuous work. And that normally is something that tends to sneak up on people. It's something that you don't really notice until the adrenaline from getting all these cases coming in and having all these clients, that are pulling at you from all different directions. That is a lot that's going on, and it tends to kind of shield you from recognizing the business fatigue or, emotional debt that you are racking up with constantly having busy work. And on the one hand, it is very good because you're getting the success that you want. You're having the growth that you want. You're getting people in the door. You're handling their cases appropriately. But on the flip side, you could be left very drained, and that could kind of turn into dreading the same work that you were once excited for. And this, in most cases, has led to a lot of resentment, resentment towards basic tasks that you're doing, resentment towards all the emails that are constantly flooding in, resentment towards having people who constantly need you, 24/7. If this isn't something that is tackled appropriately or even just handled, at the forefront and worked into building your foundation to handle this amount of growth, that can accumulate into either burnout or self-sabotage, where you can get to a place where you no longer want to take on cases, you no longer want to and are excited for the work that you want to do. You dread clocking in, you dread looking at your email inbox, you dread having to even talk to the clients you were once excited about. So being able to identify the emotional debt early on will really help you to pivot out of the crisis mode and into structure building so that burnout isn't even an option. Because when you are carrying way more than your bandwidth allows, not only will your team be able to feel that, but your clients will feel that as well. So our final talking point is redefining your growth, being able to expand your capacity without eroding yourself. And so to do this and have a really good starting place, we do have some questions that, we want to pose to you that you can answer yourself. They will also be included in the show notes, but a few of the questions are: when I take on more work, does my firm feel more structured or more strained? Does my current system support an increase in clients, or do I immediately feel that pressure? And if I doubled my caseload, what would break first, my systems, my time, or my well-being? And then the final question is that if I continue growing at my current pace, what would my life and my firm look like 6 months to a year from now? And so the reason why we're really looking at and focused on getting to a place that we can redefine what growth looks like is because honest and true growth isn't when your business really expands. It's when you feel more grounded within your business expansion, not more overwhelmed, not burnt out, not having to decide whether or not you sacrifice getting more sleep at the end of the day, but it's really just feeling rooted and grounded and satisfied with how you practice law and how you handle your clients. So really, to kind of help, push this notion forward, your new definition of growth should be able to help you focus on and bring in more order instead of chaos, more capacity, less pressure, more clarity, not more noise, and more balance instead of that burnout. Healthy growth should strengthen your practice and put you on a path of that kind of alignment instead of just looking at being busy equating to being more successful. I know a lot of people kind of just look at the surface level of stuff, how you onboard and how many clients you have and if you have the capacity for more and, how you're getting clients in and out the door. But growth is a lot more bigger than that. It's also looking at whether or not your systems can hold that kind of growth without breaking you, your clients, or your team in that process. And so that is it for today's episode. If this concept resonated with you, you can read the full blog on our website, or you can listen to the AI voiceover version of that blog on our YouTube channel. But here on this podcast, we'll delve deeper, exploring the concepts, culture, and practices that help you build clarity through calm. So we hope today's insights help you practice with more calm, confidence, and clarity. And remember, law firms aren't built overnight. They're built every day that you choose to grow. This is Legacy Contracts, and until next time, keep leading with clarity.